G'day guys, I'm Geordie Hansen. I'm just going to give you a quick rundown of this JAWA Sirocco Grande. It's the brand new 2024 model. I've done just about 10,000 Ks in it. We've lived in it with our family, my partner Sam and our son Ted. We lived in this thing for about a month. So we can give you our honest feedback. Howdy folks, how are ya? We are home from the Gibb River Road, home from the Kimberley, and I'm up the back pretending I'm still camping because I miss it. Nah, I'm up the back because number one, I got a burn pile to get through. Number two, I want to tell you about the JAWA Sirocco Grande. Now, this is sort of a quick 10,000 kilometre review. So it was about 5,000 Ks there, about 5,000 Ks back. So you do the maths. Now it's been raining, so I'm not 100% sure if this will get going, but we'll give it a go. Now, we had to get over to the Kimberley by a certain date, which only allowed us about 4 days to get there. And if you've ever driven across the country before, you know that's not a huge amount of time to do it in. So Sam and Ted flew over and I met them in Broome. So I took this camper around 5,000 kilometres in 4 days. So I can attest that this van can perform really well on the highway. So basically what you're looking for in a van when it's performing on the highway, you want to know that it's not going to sway you around, pull the car around. Basically you want it to be safe. This van was definitely safe. It hardly swayed at all. Like, actually I don't remember at any point any form of trailer sway, and I was passing, you know, massive semis that sometimes had up to 4 trailers on the back. And so if you've ever had to do that with a caravan, you know that can be a bum clenching moment. Just because the wind can sort of catch the van and pull it side to side. Whereas this one didn't. It didn't do that. So that says to me that the suspension is good. It's solid, so underneath there is a independent levels setup. It's got 2 shocks per side, so it's really stable. The other thing is, because it's a pop top, being a hybrid, the top sort of, I'm not sure how much it was, it would have been maybe 500 mil, drops down, which keeps all the weight much lower to the ground, which leaves less top heavy swaying movement, which is super important if you ask me. Not only for safety, but just for comfort. You don't have to drive around the country being nervous that the van's doing something it shouldn't be doing. So, highway K's out the way. In terms of living, it's brilliant for us. So we have a 1-year-old. Caravans obviously have to be good at towing, be easy to tow, and also you have to be able to live in them easy. So, you know, not just for a weekend trip, you want to be able to live in it. And so that's where this thing really comes into its element, if you ask me. So this van's 15 foot, and it comfortably housed me and my partner, and also a energetic toddler. If you've ever had an energetic toddler, you know that they can be little balls of energy. But we were comfortable, we had plenty of room. It's got a massive battery system from Enerdrive in there, so it's got, I think it was 600 watts of solar on the roof. We've got 2 lithium batteries in there, I'm pretty sure. And also it had a 3000 watt inverter. So that means you can run things like your aircon, which was super important. For us anyway, with a little man, when you need to put a toddler down to sleep and it's 40 degrees out on the Gibb River Road, your life becomes very difficult. So luckily we were able to just rip the aircon on in the middle of nowhere when we're trying to get him to sleep at around midday, when it's about as hot as it can get. And he went to sleep straight away. I also run very hot. So at night, if we were real hot, and there's no breeze. Sometimes there's no breeze. So when you can just bang on the aircon, it's really good. However, when there is a slight breeze, this thing opens right up. So there's window at the front, window on the side, window here, open that door up so it's a screen door, and then the roof pops up and there's about 6 or 7 windows all the way around the top. So you can open the whole thing up, which is huge. There's also fans in there, which Ted kept trying to put his little fingers in, but eventually we told him it was hot and he couldn't touch it. That was the only way we could teach him not to touch it. Also, it's got the biggest awning I've ever seen. So this thing slides right out. It's also got sides if you want to. They can quickly pop up, you can quickly attach sides to this thing. So then the whole kitchen slides out. You've got I think it's a 95 litre fridge in here. Fridge freezer, so we were gone for a long period of time and had to freeze a whole heap of meat and stuff, so that was handy. There's also a massive excuse me, there's a big Dometic fridge on the inside as well, like a sort of like bar fridge size, maybe a bit bigger, and we didn't even use it. We didn't need it. We just sort of chucked some bread in there and stuff like that. We didn't have it running because we didn't need to. This thing's great. This kitchen is fantastic because having the kitchen outside means you can have a far bigger kitchen than you could if it was inside the van, because it takes up so much room. So if you have a look in some full-size vans, the inside of the kitchen takes up a lot of space if you want to have a decent sized kitchen, whereas this thing slides right out and you've got ample bench space, heaps of storage, big fridges, big pantry space. It slides out. It really is. I've said this before about this van, but it is like a babushka doll. It just keeps sort of popping out different sections. The other thing is the water storage. Now, it's one of the most important things when you're doing long-term off-grid traveling. The sun provides as much power as you need. However, water doesn't appear out of nowhere. I would one day, and maybe it already exists, I know it exists on boats, I would love to be able to get a desal set up, little like desal unit somehow that you can draw out of the ocean and sort of filter your salt water. I don't know if it's achievable or not, but that's something I wouldn't mind looking into one day. I'm going to patent that. But anyway, we didn't need to. So there are 210 litre water tanks underneath there, one either side of the axle, so that kept the weight nice and balanced. The inside of the tanks have this sort of, I can't remember what it's called. It's like a sort of a waffle grid system on the inside, which means the water doesn't slush side to side, which keeps the van nice and stable. So 210 litre water tanks with their own pump. So each tank has its own pump. Number one, this is good because it means you can decide how you level out your van for travel. You can draw from the rear tank if you want more weight up forward, vice versa. Also, it's good because if one pump craps itself, which it didn't, but if it did, you've got another pump you can draw from. I've heard so many stories of people being out bush, a water pump poos itself, and then all of a sudden you can't access any water. Another good thing about accessing water is there are taps at the bottom of the water tanks. Not all vans have this, and I think they all should. Just a little ball valve so you can let water out, drain the tanks if you accidentally put bad water in. Anyway, It's also got an 80-litre grey tank. Now, if you needed to, and I don't know if this is advisable, but if you needed to, and if your grey water tank was clean enough, you could fill that grey water tank with water. There's a filler cap on the side. I think it's only for draining and washing it out, but I had a thought. If you needed to, you could fill that 80-litre tank for an extra 80 litres of water. We didn't need to. I actually only ever filled the 210-litre tanks. I also brought 20 litres in the ute just in case from home, and that is still full. It's down in the shed still with water in it. So I actually didn't need any more water than we did, and we were out on the Gibb River Road for a long time, and I wasn't sure how long we were going to have between water fill-ups, but we never needed any more than 210-litre tanks. When we were out somewhere on the Gibb, I think it was Mount Hart, we filmed the inside and some of the kitchen space, so I'll get Sam to show you through that now. Go. Well, while the van's all tidy, I might do a quick walkthrough now, because it's not going to be this tidy again.
That's what I thought.
Wow!
I mean, no, you do that, but that is what
Do you want to quickly show us the outside while we're here?
Okay. This is the outside, so you've got your pantry here, which is sensational.
Yeah.
Oh
yes,
yeah,
buddy.
wait a second.
You're okay.
I'm going to cook you up something
Do you want
yummy.
this? Whoops. Yeah, what about that? Yeah.
So you've got your kitchen set up here, which you can just store away in there, easy peasy. Everything is amazing. Like, you can just store it away. It looks like a caravan, and what? All of a sudden, you're like, a kitchen? Needs goosey. Sink, gas stove. We've got one as a fridge and one as a freezer. Beautiful. Lots of storage here for your pots and pans. And this is the outside area.
Great. Love it.
Don't look at my cooking. My cooking skills isn't that great.
No, it's great. And so this nice big awning here too. We put the sides up to protect us from the sun and sort of contain the little man, little bush boy. All right, I'll take you on the inside now. Okay. So straight away when you walk in, you've got under here, sink. That's where we like brush our teeth, or if it's too cold to go outside, that's where like you wash the dishes or whatever. Up here is a panel with all of your electrics. So this will tell you like how much battery you've got left. This is where you turn on the inverter to run 240, right? So 240 meaning 240 volts. In other words, we can run our air conditioner off that. We can run the coffee machine off that, which we've done many a time. So it's a 3000 watt inverter, which will pretty much run whatever you want to run. You all right, bud?
Yeah, he's just drinking water. Went down the wrong hole.
Okay. These are your gauges. So grey water tank, fresh water, yada yada. So the batteries kept under here. And they've got a little fan that runs in there to keep everything nice and cool. Because when the sun's beating down, it can get hot in there. Right, so over here, this is the little dining room area. This table folds out like so. And then under here, there's storage. This is where your diesel heater comes out. That's where the hot air comes out for those fresh mornings. That turns on here, the old Eberspacher. Another internal fridge, which is massive. It's also got a little freezer in it too. Microwave, which we can run on the inverter. The telly, which we've got strapped in at the moment just for the rough roads. That can pivot around so you can watch it here from the dining area. More storage along there. Little pockets there. That's where I keep like my AirPods, the telly remote. Over that side there's all charging ports there, heaps of charging ports there. Another fan here. Under Ted's toys there is where we actually keep Ted's toys. There's a big little storage compartment under there. And then you've got under bed storage, so you can access that from under the mattress, or you can get into it here, and that goes pretty much halfway back up the bed. Right, and in here is the shower slash toilet.
Oh, the shower's a bit messy, sorry.
No, that's fine. Forget about my undies. I forgot to hang those up after a swim. But this is great. More storage for the bathroom there. Now this hot water and not only is the pressure better than the pressure at our house, but also it gets hotter than the hot water at our house. Don't you reckon?
Yeah, 100%.
Pretty cool.
It's amazing. We absolutely love this caravan. It's so easy and it's light to tow. Isn't that right, George?
That's correct. And because it's a pop top, like a hybrid, the roof comes down like an extra couple of feet, which you can see here. So that helps with the wind drag. It means that you're not dragging as much air. We're a bit more aerodynamic for the Triton. So up the back here, you got heaps more storage. All this stuff seals up so well. Like, have a look at this. Ready? Look at all the dust on the outside, and look at where the rubber seal hits the frame there. It's all sealed up really well. Right, around here, that's your toilet cassette. You've got an outdoor shower there, which connects here. This is your grey water second tank and first tank. Then over here is this here is your hot water service. This is the front boot space, so there's like heaps of room in there. That goes not quite to the other side, almost. In here is where we keep a generator. It's got a big slide that comes out. And over here, more toolbox stuff. Your gas cylinders are stored in there. This is obviously the DO35 hitch. So let's talk about the rough stuff. So it was, if anyone's done the Gibb River Road, you know that it's renowned as one of the roughest roads in Australia. This thing creamed it though. So the suspension in this thing is twin shocked Lovells independent suspension. We were driving past, or not driving past, chatting with people who had blown shocks or, you know, leaky shocks, or a bolt's come out of our suspension. I didn't have to worry about that because we've got good old trusty Australian made Lovells in there. So basically I just let my tyres down. So I was running about 35 in the trailer, because that's, you know, got almost, when it's fully loaded, it's a bit under 3 tons. So I didn't want to put less than 35 in those over the roads, over the corrugations on the road. Rear tyres on my ute were about 30, and the front tyres were low 20s. And that worked really well for us. Obviously it varies depending on what sort of weight you're carrying, and everyone's got different opinions about tyre pressures, but that's what I reckon. The other great thing about this van is the strength of not only the chassis, but the actual framework inside the caravan. So the kitchen, the inside cupboards, the bed, a lot of that is made up of what I think is aluminium. So the internal framework of all of the cabinetry, or a lot of the cabinetry, is aluminium, which is fantastic because a lot of vans that you see in this price range will be mostly MDF. Sometimes MDF can sort of chip out. The screws can just sort of pull out over the constant banging of corrugations, whereas this held itself together. It didn't sort of disintegrate, and we didn't open the door and there's cupboards and shelves across the floor. So I like that they've built that out of aluminium. The other great thing about this van is it's super easy to set up. So obviously I've mentioned the kitchen just slides out like that. The awning, really easy to set up, takes about 10 seconds. But the best thing and the coolest thing, when you're, sometimes even if you're in a caravan park and you're pulled up next to someone and they're setting up, and all you do is open your door and press the button and the roof just goes bzzz, and you just sit there holding eye contact with them, and you know you've just fully power moved them. That's also handy for when you're on the road and you're doing long days and you need to pull up and give your 1-year-old a nap. Bzzz, go to bed, shush. The other thing is, when you're doing the long days and you just want to make a sandwich, you don't need to go inside the van. You just open that door up, make yourself a sandwich. So there are some really, really important things about this van that make it suitable for us. So obviously it depends on your traveling style, but this suited us for not only a short amount of, like a short trip, we've done a short trip in it as well, but it also is livable for long periods of time, which was the thing that I was nervous about. You know, I thought, oh, it's a smaller van to what we're used to, but to be honest, this is perfect. It's also good for if you're belting through long distances. This thing's fuel efficient. So I was doing about 1 litre or 2 per 100 less towing this than a van that weighs a similar weight but is fully sized, like has the whole roof. It's not a hybrid, it's not a pop top, it's a full size van. I was using far less fuel in the, well, not far less, probably 1 litre or 2 less, probably 2 litres per 100 less towing this than a full size van of the same weight. So if you want to belt across the country, take this. Now, another thing about traveling with a caravan is you sometimes worry about maneuverability. So obviously when you're towing, you get nervous about taking your van into certain places. Not with this. We went everywhere we wanted to go. So actually, I've got a great story for you. On the way over to Broome, there was sadly 2 trucks had smashed into each other and closed off the road. Awful, awful. I hope they're okay. That was just outside of Mount Isa. But there was a side track through private property. The owner let me go through this really gnarly off-road setup, and I had to go down this gully and then pop out through his property out to the other side of the crash. But there were other vans that were bigger than me and could not fit through, but I got through. The only issue I had was there was a hump like this, but that's what these are for. So, and they're strong as, so I just basically dragged the bottom of this. Sorry, JAWA, I have to give this back to you, and you're hearing that I dragged it, but that's what these are for. So that's really a difficult situation when you're towing, because your car's going down here and your van is still trying to go up. So basically you're going to drag something. This just held the weight of the van as it sort of skidded down over until the wheels hit that hump, and it just popped over, away we went. Whereas other people were stuck there, and I heard that that road was shut for another 2 days. So thank you, JAWA. I wouldn't have made it there in time and we wouldn't have been able to do the job. Another thing about maneuverability with this thing is the drawbar. It's got a really long drawbar, which is fantastic. Whereas with this, I can turn full lock and there's no issues, which is, I think, is really important, because the amount of times you're banging down a track and you go, oh, that was the turn, and you've got to turn around in a really tight turn. That was really important for us, because I've made a lot of mistakes about routes. So another great thing about this van in terms of living space was the heating. So this has got a diesel heater, as well as the aircon on the roof. It's got a diesel heater in it. For the whole month, we didn't use half of the tank, and we were running that a lot of mornings. So, and it heats up. So it's the, let me just check the brand. Oh yeah, Eberspacher, I believe that's how you pronounce it. It sounds German, which means it's probably good. So, and it was good. It performed really well. So it was, what it does is you pick a temperature and it holds the van at that certain temperature. So at night, for example, you can set it up at a certain temperature and it'll only turn on when it goes below that temperature. It's nice and quiet, really hot. Other thing was the instant hot water system. So that is a Truma hot water system and it's instantaneous. So you switch it on and straight away you've got hot water, which was fantastic. One of the great things about this van is that they've put really quality components on it. So for example, the EnerDrive battery system, the Lovells suspension, the Truma hot water system, you know, like everything is quality on it. So you can trust it. I think that's important. I don't like going into the bush with my family not knowing whether something's going to hold up. That always makes me really nervous because I don't want to be responsible for being stuck in the bush, you know. I don't really want to give this van back. It's been so good. It's the best van I've towed on rough roads, I reckon. And it's my job to tow vans on rough roads. It was, yeah, really bloody good. It's just a really good van. There's no ifs or buts about it. And it looks cool too. Right, gang, I gotta go. If you want any more info, please let me know, because just hit me up in the comments or message me on Instagram. If you want to know more about the van, just, yeah, holler at your boy. See you guys. We got episode 2 of the Gibb River Road coming out soon. It's going to be a belter.